Well, so far free agency has started in the NFL, and note it's only been 2 days. Right now, as we're recording this, but Miles, you got any winners?
Yeah, my first winner is the San Francisco 49ers, which it might be a little bit of a surprise, but I absolutely loved their move of getting what is his name? Hold on, let's restart that. What's his name?
Javon Hargrave.
Hargrave. I was gonna call him Hartline. I was thinking of former Miami Dolphins wide receiver Brian Hartline, but I thought that was a great move. And usually teams don't really like to admit that they made a mistake, but the 49ers clearly missed the Forrest Buckner. And once he left and they made the decision that they weren't going to spend that much money at the defensive tackle position, and they traded him over to the Indianapolis Colts, recuperated a first round pick in that trade, used that on Javon Kinlaw, who was also a defensive tackle, but just hasn't really produced. And I think might end up not making this roster. So that'll be interesting to see what shakes out there. But, you know, when you look at how dominant their defensive line has been the last few years, and now you add a defensive tackle who's coming off a career year, can rush the passer from up the middle, and you already know what you have to deal with Bosa on one side. I think it was a great move. And I mean, if they could ever get a healthy quarterback, I mean, the team's just always going to be super talented.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I will spoiler. That's my loser. That's flat out my loser. My winner, I gotta go with the team that has probably the most assets right now in football. Well, going into the coming into this weekend got better. I gotta say the Bears. I love the trade that they did with the first overall pick to go to the 9 spot now. You still gain a second round pick. You gain another first next year and a second the year after that. And you bring in a number one receiver in DJ Moore. Then you add Edmonds. You add all these other small, good pieces to that team where the Bears really need a lot of. I like bringing in Davis to help with the offensive line. To me, I feel like there'll be clear winners if they could somehow steal Orlando Brown from the free agent market because I would like for Justin Fields to get some protection on that offensive line because there's a lot of not that great talent on there. And I feel like with all these picks, I feel like the Bears can make some moves. So I really like the Bears. That's why I have the Bears as like my sole winners. I just feel like they've done a great job at legitimately getting better. Not by a whole lot, but at least by like a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I thought the trade for the number one pick was absolute steal for them. I mean, it was crazy that they started putting out those statistics that through his first 5 years, DJ Moore would be their all-time leading receiver in receptions, and the two guys he would be behind all time are two running backs. That's when I was like, okay, that's when like the Bears have been through some rough patches on offense, and especially recently when you consider the offensive boom and where we are as an NFL right now, and to not be able to have really anything to show for from that position is kind of insane. And now you set yourself up with that number 9 pick to maybe potentially trade back, gain some more assets, or draft a defensive player because I still think they need some help on that defensive line as far as getting after the quarterback. And this is probably one of the better situations if you're looking at the teams that are drafting towards the top of the board because they feel confident enough in Justin Fields that they weren't looking to take a quarterback in that number one position. And I love the move for Edmonds. It is a little bit weird that they wouldn't just have re-signed Roquan Smith,
Yeah.
considering that they play the same position. But I mean, you do get some extra draft capital from flipping Roquan Smith to the Ravens midseason and then just going out and signing Edmonds. So I did like their moves, and it was a team. I mean, we saw it last year where when Fields really was clicking and just putting the team on his back because there wasn't a lot of talent outside of really like Mooney and Montgomery that it was
Yeah.
basically on him, and they look good, and that's with a first year head coach. So I do think there's definitely the arrow is definitely pointing up for the Chicago Bears.
A close winner to me was the Broncos because I do like what they did in bringing help on the offensive line. But then I also saw the rumors how they're gonna try to trade either Jared Judy or Cortland Sutton. So I was like, okay, now I kind of like let's push it back Because to me,
The only thing that scares me about the Broncos, like they signed McGlinchey from the 49ers, but
yeah,
5 years, 87.5 million for a guy that plays right tackle.
yeah. I mean, it's tough, but I
And then
mean,
some of their like I like the Trayvon Jones kid, the defensive tackle who signed with the Seahawks, and then I get that they reset. I just want to see how it shakes out a little bit because they're it's a lot of moving pieces. You're bringing in Sean Payton to replace Nathaniel Hackett, who only lasted a year. You're on your second year of Russell Wilson, and that experience did not go great in year one. So now you have a lot of moving pieces, and like you said, there are some rumors about them potentially trying to move one of their wide receivers. And then the Zach Allen part of it, where I
I
think
actually really like that move. I
I just
really
don't
like.
know if it's just 3 years, 45.7 for a
I
guy that played 13 games.
Yeah, no, I get you. But to me, he's almost like a Trey Hendrickson. Like he can really impact the game. He just has to be on the field for that to happen. So I do like it because I feel like it helped them because they did trade Bradley Chubb. So it's like, all right, at least you brought in a piece back, not obviously to the talent as Bradley Chubb, but you brought him there and you still have your picks. So it's like I feel like the Broncos have something to offer. But just with the but once the rumors of the receivers, I was like, dang, I can't really call them winners if they're gonna sell some of their great pieces. So I that's why I took the Bears because I the Bears now, if we actually look at their offense is not that bad.
Yeah.
You have Fields at QB. Now your wide receiver trio, depending on how you want to put the 2 and 3 spot, you have DJ Moore, Mooney and Claypool, or Claypool and Mooney. And then you have Cole Kmet at tight end, who I thought developed good chemistry with Justin Fields this past season. And if running back, you have Khalil Herbert, who
Yeah.
actually
And
was
Herbert
solid
was
for them. So
Yeah,
I
and
think they
I
can
know they've
build off of this.
expressed some interest in bringing Montgomery back. The biggest thing for me would be trying to get that offensive line a little bit better, especially considering how much
It was
Fields was
so
running
bad.
for his life last year, and then we saw him, take that hit, bang up his shoulder a little bit. So that's obviously not something you want, even though that I don't think they should go away from having Fields use his legs as a weapon, but I do think that they need some help on that offensive line. And then if they just continue to build it out, like go offensive line, get some defensive line help, and I think they would have the second brightest future in that division because
Yeah,
you're looking at a Packers team that's in a lot of flux
yeah.
with, potentially bringing in Jordan Love as their starting quarterback for the first time this year. You have the Vikings, okay, they made the playoffs, but disappointing exit under a first year head
A
coach.
lot of players got cut.
And it's a lot of veterans that they're still relying on. It's not like they're getting any younger outside of Jefferson, but it's Kirk Cousins, it's Dalvin Cook, it's guys like that. And then you look at the Lions, and the Lions might be the team that you're going to have to compete with, and that's a team that is loaded at with draft capital and is coming off a year where they performed above expectations. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears this upcoming season are last year's Lions.
Could be, very much could be. That's the only thing. I mean, since at the point of recording this, it's only been limited for what we've seen in terms of like moves. But I do like some of the other moves that some teams have made. One move I personally really like. Oh, I forgot his name. Um, dang, who was it? Oh, Patrick Peterson. I actually like that for the Steelers. I do feel like they needed some help in secondary, and I feel like if you could get 1 year out of Patrick Peterson, I personally like that move for them. The only thing with the Steelers, I just have to see what that offense looks like because they were just awful last year. I mean, it was pretty bad.
We
So
do have some breaking news.
whoa, which one?
Random off the beaten path. The New York Football Giants have acquired Darren Waller from the Las Vegas Raiders for a
Wow.
2023 third round pick. That's what I'm saying.
Wait,
No,
for what, a third round pick?
for a third round pick.
That's actually a good trade for the Giants. I like that. Darren Waller, you can actually. Ooh, you have him with Daniel Jones. I actually like that for Daniel Jones. Well, because I mean, they gave him that monster contract when we will talk about this at a later date in time when me and Myles are on live because we really want to do our homework with the notes about the whole Lamar Jackson situation.
Yeah,
because
I gotta see how everything shakes out first.
yeah, we have to see how everything shakes out because we have a lot to say about that, but we'll talk about that at a later date and time. Dang, Darren Waller to the Giants.
Yeah.
That's actually not bad. And they picked up a good linebacker yesterday from the Colts. Oh yeah.
Dude, did you know that that guy had 17 tackles
Yeah,
against
in
them?
that game. When I saw the stat, I was like looking on Twitter and they showed it's like he had 17 tackles in that game. I was like 17? But then I also
17 tackles.
and then I looked at the stats of the game. The Giants had the ball for like almost 40 minutes. So I was like, no wonder he got 17 tackles. The Giants were basically on the
Yeah,
field the whole
I'm
game.
not familiar with his last name, but it's Bobby Okikari, I believe.
Yeah, like
Linebacker from the Colts. He got 4 years, 40 million.
I
And
actually liked the deal for that. I thought that was solid.
especially considering he was filling in for All Pro Shaq Leonard, the
Yep.
Colts other All Pro linebacker, and he filled in, recorded 151 tackles last year, 6 tackles for loss, and 17 in a game.
Yeah. So I
That
thought it was a
probably
good
got him the
move.
contract right there, putting those 17 tackles up against the Giants. And I have a couple New York Giants fans in my life, so I've been talking to them ever since the Daniel Jones news came in. And they're my question is he good or did he have a good year? But I guess that's what we're here to find out. And I think
And
in
I
order
think
to
the
find
Darren
that
Waller
out,
situation is going to help out a lot now.
well, that's what I was trying to say is that I think if you want to find out if he's good or if he just had a good year, is by surrounding him with weapons this year and then seeing what happens.
Yeah. But we'll see that the New York Giants are probably rising in the winner's stock now for a third round pick for Darren Waller, who I think could be a top five tight end in football. That's good. But guys, we will get back to you because we're going to be talking about the losers in our next video.